And so when Kim and I met, we had nothing. It took us 10 years to go from nothing to financially free. So she was 37, I was 47. But that's the power of focusing on assets versus liability. And I know most millennials, they want a high-paying job. They want to be able to pay the rent, eat, and all this stuff. And then you dream of the big house, a nice car, and all that. But that's why 99% of Americans are broke, because their heads are in the wrong spot. So when I asked Kim if she would take an accounting course, which was 2 days, I wanted to see if her head could get into the asset column. That was the difference, wasn't it?
Yeah, and actually, it didn't happen right at that moment, but
You fell in love with me.
Of course I did. Of course I did. But this started the journey on investing. This started the journey on assets. But I do remember the moment down the road where, just like everybody else, I was focused on the income column, get a job, get the pay raises. If you're an hourly wage, work more hours or raise your hourly wage. So I was always focused here. And then finally, after we'd actually bought some investment properties, the light finally went on, and I'm like, instead of focusing on acquiring income, what if we focus on just acquiring assets, that the assets go into the income column?
Like this, focusing on assets versus liability. Most people are so busy working for money, so busy trying to pay their bills, and so busy buying liabilities they think are assets. So my first gift to Kim was the counting game to get her head in here, and today we're financially free, and that's the whole thing. So everybody can do it. It's a matter of putting your head into the right column. And then for me, it was in 73, I took my first real estate investment course here. I'm free. I lost money, made money back, but I never got out of the asset. In school, they compensate for risk by telling you to memorize the right answer. So in other words, these kids leave, the young people like you, leave school thinking, oh, if I know the right answers, then there's no risk. And it drives old guys like me crazy. Because everybody's talking about millennials. What's wrong with them? Millennials are the most highly educated generation in history. They have the cell phone. They didn't get educated in school. They got educated on social media, on the cell phones. They know all the answers, but they're afraid of doing anything. The biggest complaint about my generation is millennials know all the answers, but they can't do anything. And the reason they can't do anything is because you might hurt somebody's feelings, you might make a mistake. That just keeps you guys just trapped in this little box.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons I think millennial money is such an important point here. Because if you're going to come into my world, old guy's world, or the information age, you've really got to understand what is risky and what is not risky. And in my world, if you play it safe, that makes you stupid. Because if you don't take risks, you don't get smarter.
Yeah.
So you may know the answer, but you can't do anything. And this was called the cash flow quadrant, right? You have E, S, V, and I. Test for you. What does E stand for?
Employee.
Good. And what do employees always say?
That they work for money.
But they want job security,
Exactly.
paycheck, and pension. What does S stand for?
Self-employed.
They're small business owners,
Yes.
doctors, lawyers.
They work for tips.
They work for tips. So they're self-employed. And B stands for what?
Big business owners.
So 500 employees or more. And I stands for what?
The investor.
Investor. It's more than just investor, it's insider. You see, this is like Shark Tank on the TV shows. These guys here have done this and they've done this. So this was my poor dad, this side. This was rich dad. So the difference, that's what schools are not teaching you, is what's the difference between these people and these people. So the reason financial education isn't working in our school systems is they're teaching financial education for these people and these people, but to really become rich, you have to focus on this side here. And that's the difference between a rich dad and the financial and what they're teaching in school right now. I'd rather be on this side. This side is a lot harder, but in the long run, it's more fun for me. On this side here, it's harder, but you're paying tax constantly. So these guys here are saying tax the rich. Well, these guys don't pay tax. And as strange as that may seem, and I'm talking about legal, this is all over the world.